Okay. All right. Here we go again. Here we go again. Let me make sure we're on. Let me make sure we're running. All right, what's up? What's going on, guys? First of all, first and foremost, off the bat, you know the drill. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button to support the channel. I really appreciate everyone who's new to the channel smashing the subscribe button. I appreciate y'all smashing that subscribe button and hitting the thumbs up button. It really motivates me to keep this thing going. I got so much stuff going on in the world, just like you. I got jobs, I got obligations, I got responsibilities that I got to manage. So I really need the motivation. I really need the consistency, the discipline in order to keep this thing going. So I appreciate everyone supporting me, motivating me to keep this thing going. Now, with that being said, you see the thumbnail and you see the title. Now, as I was drafting this thumbnail, it was really hard for me to put my finger on how I wanted to label this video because there's a few different things that I wanted to touch on in today's conversation. Right now, we see in the world there's a lot going on with Israel and Palestine. We see President Joe Biden calling for over $100 billion to go to both Ukraine and Israel. The war machine is vamping up. Voices pushing for military expansionism are getting louder and louder. Now, a lot of Black Americans are being asked to, choose a side. Hey, Black Americans, you should identify with the Palestinians because they're being oppressed by European invaders just like you. That's some people saying that. Other folks are saying, hey, the Jewish people have been persecuted. They supported, the abolition movement. So it's only right for Black Americans to support Israel, support the Jewish people the same way that the Jewish people supported, quote unquote supported, because you know that many of them did benefit directly and indirectly from slavery. But that's neither here nor there. That's a conversation for another day. And a lot of people are saying, hey, you got to pick a side. The Jewish people need your support. The Palestinian needs the support. A lot of Black Americans are saying, hey, I'm just going to stay neutral on this one. I'm going to stay neutral on this one. I myself had to process this. It took me some time to think about where I wanted to come down on this issue. I did go to a pro-Palestinian protest or rally here in Washington, D.C. I documented that. It wasn't necessarily in support of the Palestinians, but I wanted to go show people what was going on, and I wanted to get information. So I had some very quick and brief interviews with some people right there on the street. Hey, what do you think about what's going on? Hey, how does this affect you? What do you think the solutions are? So I went to the protest. I got some information. I read up on the topic, both at the protest and in my own studies. And from my perspective now, the only thing that Black Americans should be focused on is Black Americans. What is in our own interest? Let me give you the reasoning how I came to this conclusion. How did I come to this conclusion, and what does that mean for the broader war? These are some of the things that we're going to be discussing tonight. Now, before we get into it, just understand I do have videos, I have articles I'm going to be showing y'all, but I like to first off level set everyone just with a little bit of conversation to let you know where my head is at, where we're going with this video. Black Americans need to do or support what is in our best interest. Why do I say that? I say that primarily because a lot of times us as Black Americans, being that we have this history of being oppressed and fighting oppression, fighting for our rights, fighting for civil rights, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. We fought for immigration rights back in the 60s so that Black people and people from all over the globe, not exclusively from Europe, would be welcomed into America. And after the past 50 years, we're able to see the fruits, 50, 60 years, we're able to see the fruits of that labor. We see that although we supported a lot of these other folks, when we're calling for something to help ourselves, a lot of these folks are silent, if not in direct opposition to the things that we're calling for, especially as it relates to reparations. especially as it relates to reparations. Right now, right now, we're moving into a new age. We're moving into a new time. There's a new level of consciousness that is being leveled amongst the Black American people. We have a new term, FBA, Foundational Black Americans. This is an exclusive lineage-based term that we didn't have 20 years ago. We didn't have this 20 years ago. I would say we didn't have this 10 years ago. We have a new term, a new ideology. And I started to label this video Black Identity Extremists because that might be a whole nother follow-up video. But they're trying to label some people Black Identity Extremists because Black Americans have had so many issues coming up with our own identity. Some Black Americans say, hey, I'm a Moor. Hey, I'm a Muslim. Hey, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Hey, I'm Native American. We have all of these separate identities. We have all these separate identities. But for the first time, maybe in the history of America, we have a new title, Foundational Black American, that slowly everyone who has roots here, who is descendants of the slaves, has the ability to be proud of. Because we weren't all going to identify as Hebrew Israelites. We weren't all going to identify as Muslims. We weren't all going to identify as Moors. We weren't all going to identify as Native Americans, whatever have you. We weren't all going to identify as that. But no matter what your individual ideology and philosophy is, we now have a title of Foundational Black Americans that we can all accept and support. Why is this important? What's the difference between Foundational Black Americans and African American? The difference is, first of all, we're acknowledging that we are the foundation of this country which we built. That's powerful. We are claiming ownership of our stock and our investment here in this country of America. That's number one. Number two, Foundational Black American is a title that is exclusive. It's exclusionary. Everyone can't just come and co-opt it. A lot of times before, African Americans, you got Elon Musk a white man coming from South Africa saying, oh, I'm also an African American. You've got people who coming from all over Africa, Haiti, Caribbean, South America, coming into the country, and because they have a little bit of black skin, they say, hey, we're African American, and I'm just like you. You just got here, your parents just got here 5-10 years ago. My people have been here for centuries. You come into the country and you have the right to say you're just like me. Not only that, you're able to benefit from all of the resources that we fought to get. Not only that, you got exclusive, you can double dip. Today something goes wrong, you get arrested. Oh, look at those Black Americans. Tomorrow you graduate with a graduate degree, you become a doctor. Hey, I'm Nigerian. Hey, I'm Cameroonian. So all of the positive aspects of your culture, you reserve for your culture. Anytime someone graduates, I'm Nigerian, I'm Caribbean, I'm Bahamian, I'm from the VI, Jamaica stand up, Haiti stand up, Ethiopia stand up, anytime something good happens. But every time something bad happens, oh, well, it's just the Black Americans again. It's just African Americans. Even though, yo, this dude was from Jamaica. This dude isn't us. This dude is from VI. This dude isn't us. This dude is from Haiti, Cameroon, Nigeria, South Africa, Ethiopia. These people aren't us. So why do we have to hold the L every time something bad happens, but every time something good happens, it's exclusive for you all? So this is the importance of this new term, FBA, Foundational Black American. It's a new term, but it's very powerful. Now that I've explained, for those who don't know, the importance of this term, Foundational Black American, we have to start, as Foundational Black Americans, start thinking about what is it that is in our interest. When President Obama was in office, and especially after he left office and Donald Trump was elected, a lot of people said, hey, I didn't support Obama because he didn't do anything for black people. You know, Obama didn't do anything for black people. These Democrats, they don't do anything for black people. I don't support the Republicans, they don't do anything for black people. And to those people that say that, I would ask this question. What do black people want? What do black people want? Black people, foundational black Americans, but all black people in America have a tendency when they start at a low level getting involved in politics. They say, "Oh well, those politicians, those Democrats, those Republicans, XYZ, they don't do anything for black people." But when you ask them, "What do you want? What is the black agenda? What is it that would best serve black Americans?" A lot of times they have nothing. Oh, student loans. That's not a black issue. That's an American issue. That would help all Americans, college graduates at least. Healthcare. That would help all Americans. Can you tell me something that black Americans, specifically foundational black Americans in particular, what tangible what is it that you're asking for? If you think about the immigrants, they have something specific. Hey, we're calling for DACA. We're calling for legalization of the illegal immigrants. They have specific tangibles that they're asking for. It's a smart goal because it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, and the only member is time constrained that they'll work onto it until it happens. Right? So it's a smart goal. What goals is it that black Americans have that are smart? What is the black agenda? For the first time, in addition to this new term, FBA, Foundational Black Americans, we have a specific agenda. We have a specific tangible which can serve as a litmus test. It's very divisive, and that's a good thing. We need to know exactly who are these people who saying, yeah, I support black Americans, but then you say, oh, so do you support reparations? No, I don't. So how do you support black Americans? We have a litmus test so we can see, is it yes or no, and you have to stand on it. A lot of times they say, oh, the racism is dead because they can hide behind deniability. You have no litmus test to say, oh, this person is or isn't a racist. As long as they don't expose themselves directly, saying some stupid stuff online or saying some stupid stuff on record, you have no way to verify if someone is or isn't racist. They have deniability. And for the longest time, people have had deniability as to whether they defend or support black Americans. But now there's no longer deniability. We have a litmus test. And that litmus test is reparations. Before we get into these videos, and as you're coming into the room, like I said, guys, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and be sure to hit the subscribe button. I want to touch on this reparations issue a little bit more before we get into our videos and why it's so important. Reparations is important first and foremost because we as black Americans, we need it. We've earned it. This is money that has been already worked for. Our labor, blood, sweat, and tears is already in the soil, and it was never compensated. So this is not just we're working for, we want something that isn't owed to us. No, we're fighting for our inheritance. That's what we're fighting for. That's what reparations is. Reparations is your inheritance. This is your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. This is the money, this is the wealth that they should have been passing down to you, that they worked all their lives and eventually died for, which they were unable to give you. That's what reparations is. We might as well, you could even change the name from reparations to directly inheritance. Inheritance now. Reparations now, inheritance now. Because these people, our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our ancestors have worked way too hard, sacrificed way too much for us to just say, hey, well, that was the past. They did all that for nothing. We're good now. No. No. With that being said, I think that's the intro. We can get into some news and some clips now. As this war, going back to the original title and thumbnail of this video, I want to focus on what black Americans, our stance should be as far as this whole Israel-Palestine situation. Now, as I said, initially I went to get some more information. My gut reaction is to be in support of the Palestinian people, knowing, though, that if we were to fight for the Palestinian people, do you think that these Palestinian people are going to fight for you, FBA? you black Americans to get your reparations? No. If we support the Israelis, these Jewish people, do you think they're going to show up to your protest? Do you think they're going to show up to your protest and your rallies for reparations? I went to rally for reparations here in DC. I think I uploaded videos of that rally as well. I didn't see any Jewish people there. I didn't see any Palestinian people there. I didn't see any Hispanics. I just saw us. I just saw us. And we got to be careful about jumping out the window to support all these other groups when these other groups are not jumping out the window to support us. None of them are. Not one of these groups are jumping out the window to support us when we're calling for reparations, when we're calling for our inheritance, which was stolen. Nobody's jumping out the window to help us. So we can't be shamed into jumping out the window to help these other people who, truth be told, don't support us anyway. The only thing I will say as far as this whole Israel Palestine thing is what I don't like about it personally is our money, our reparations money, our tax dollars are being sent to these other countries. And that's why I speak out. But I want to encourage black Americans, hey, if you're not supporting reparations, don't be out here spending more energy supporting Ukraine. You spending your energy supporting Ukraine, supporting Palestinians, supporting Jewish people, but you're not spending any of that energy supporting your own people as we call for financial stability, as we call for reparations to repair the harm, the psychological and financial damage that have been done to our community specifically and intentionally. No. No, I don't want to see a lot of black Americans supporting any of these other groups, whether it be Ukraine, Israel, none of them. You should not be saying, oh yeah, we need to send more billions of dollars to these other folks who do not support you. Ukraine has open, tatted up Nazis, Azov battalion, self-proclaimed Nazis in their army, and you want to send them billions of dollars? And they're not going to, they're not going to do nothing for you. Even if they could, they wouldn't do nothing for you. So no, they need to hold their own, they need to deal with their own problems on their own. But being realistic, I know that our government is actively pushing these wars, provoking these enemies, pushing our enemies together, weakening ourselves and strengthening our enemies intentionally. The powers that be in this country are intentionally warmongering. And one of the reasons for that is because black Americans aren't saying, hey, don't do it. Black Americans aren't getting together saying, hey, stop sending our money to these other countries. We want reparations here. I look crazy as a black American saying anything about reparations because black Americans are ashamed to say what we need. And we got to get rid of this shame thing. We got to get rid of this, oh, we don't need anything. We don't need any help. We can just do it all on our own. No. We need to be proud and loud saying, I'm foundational black Americans. I deserve reparations. And we need to stand on the square. We need to normalize that. We need to normalize that. Because the alternative is, oh, well, just continue going with the flow. Vote for the Democrats. Vote for the Republicans. Do you understand that both of these parties, Donald Trump included, the new House Speaker of the House Representative, is supporting the war, funding Israel and their genocide against Palestine. Both parties, the Republican and the Democrats, are fine sending more money, your money, to these other countries that if you have any sense, you wouldn't be for. So we need to be a lot more vocal against all these wars and be much more vocal in our needs domestically, our needs here in America. Case in point, let me play this video for you. This is our president, Joe Biden, telling Americans, oh yeah, we can send more money to Ukraine. We can send more money to Israel. We can do both. Is he talking about sending more money for reparations? No, we can't do that. Where will we get the money? We can't deal with the problems at the southern border. No, where are we going to get the money? We have money for all these foreigners, all these foreign wars, but we don't have money for us citizens. That's something we got to fight against. Check this video out. Check this out. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here we go. Check this out.
Are the wars in Israel and Ukraine more than the United States can take on at the same time?
We're the United States of America, for God's sake. The most powerful nation in the history, not in the world, in the history of the world. The history of the world. We can take care of both of these and still maintain our overall international defense.
He says we can take on both of these wars and deal with our situations here in the United States. We've already done a piss poor job taking care of our responsibilities here in the United States. Ask anyone who's been down there to Texas, Arizona. Ask anyone. They'll ready to tell you that we have a wide open southern border and we have hundreds of special interest could be potential terrorists entering into the United States. These are sleeper cells actively entering the United States through the southern border. And Joe Biden's like, yeah, we can handle a war in Ukraine, war in Israel, and war at home. Listen, we're already failing as far as our war at home goes. Now I'm going to play a little bit more of this clip, but I want to pause it just so you can have time to read some of these here. Let me give you a better view. I want you to be able to read some of these subtitles. So I'm going to pause it so you can read it. Check it out. President Joe Biden asserted on 60 Minutes that the U.S. can juggle both the war in Ukraine and Israel at the same time, citing that it's the most powerful nation in the history of the world. The 45th president went on to say that the U.S. not only has the capacity to do so, but also an obligation, saying if we don't, who does? Sorry, guys, I know that was a bit loud. So I turned down the volume for you. But here's the thing. He's saying not only do we have the capacity to fight two wars simultaneously, leading us down the path to World War III, but he's saying we have an obligation. We have to do this. Russia already gave a peace proposal, a proposal for peace to Ukraine, which United States and Boris Johnson in the UK undermined. Peace was on the table. All we had to do was accept the fact that Ukraine must remain neutral and not join NATO. That's not a bad proposition. For anyone who doesn't know, for anyone who hasn't been paying attention, a neutral Ukraine ensures that we have space between NATO forces and Russian forces. What benefit do we get as the West, as NATO allies or NATO members? What benefit do we get to adding Ukraine to NATO? It's a question. If you have an answer, throw it in the comments section because I would love to hear it. What benefit, I'll ask again, what benefit do we get from supporting Ukraine and adding them into the list of NATO members? What benefit do we get which outweighs the cons of potential war with Russia? Please, I'm all ears if you have an answer to that question. Let's hear a little bit more about it. However, some Republicans have urged the Biden administration to prioritize the Jewish state over Ukraine. Israel is facing an existential threat. Any funding for Ukraine should be redirected to Israel immediately. So there's Republicans already saying, hey, we need to support Israel, forget about Ukraine. They're already turning their back on Ukraine. Already. The State Department has estimated that at least 15 Americans have gone missing as a result of Hamas' surprise October 7th terrorist attack on Israel. Since the dawn of Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Congress has authorized about $113 billion in support to the war-torn nation. So let me get this straight. $113 billion has already gone to Ukraine. This is prior to the $100 billion that Biden has just requested here in October of 2023. But we have no money for reparations. So again, I ask you, what is the benefit? What is the benefit that we're getting from supporting Ukraine, which is not a NATO ally? We do not have an obligation as American taxpayers, as an American country. We do not have the obligation to be the world's police. We don't have the obligation to be the police of the world. That's not our job. And if we were the police, then how are we okaying the country of Israel committing war crimes against Palestinian civilians? I thought police have to stick to the letter of the law. You can't say, oh, I'm a police, so I'm going to support war crimes in Israel, but fight against invasions in Ukraine. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. We as Black Americans have to say, we're not for any of it. We want that money redirected here. Republicans are saying we want to redirect the money from Ukraine and redirect it to Israel. I'm saying I want to redirect the money from Ukraine and the money from Israel and bring them both back to America. Bring it both back here because we've got enough problems. We've got enough problems to address right here. We're not obligated to give billions, hundreds of billions to anybody around the world where something bad happens. Listen, I'm sorry to hear it. I'm sorry to hear that. Peace is the solution. Diplomacy is the solution because taxing and robbing, fleecing the American taxpayer, that's not a solution that I'm willing to support. All right? That's not a solution that I'm willing to support. Now we're going to do a little bit of research here. As everyone comes in the room, do me a favor, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the supporters. I appreciate everyone who, supports and checks out the videos. I'm hoping I can add some value, add a perspective to your life, add some conversation that you might not be getting on other channels. So I hope I'm fulfilling my mission in that. All right. With that being said, let me show you all this. All right. Now this is coming from PBS. How much aid the U.S. has sent to Ukraine? All right. I want to make sure that y'all can see this. We're going to go over this article, not the whole thing, but I just wanted to highlight a little bit. I wanted to highlight a little bit of information here. All right. It says every year, the U.S. sends billions of dollars in aid, and much more than any other country, to beneficiaries around the world in pursuit of its security, economic, and humanitarian interests. Heading into 2022, foreign assistance was driven by various priorities of the Biden administration, including combating climate change, responding to COVID-19 pandemic, and countering authoritarianism. But since Russian invasion in February of that year, Ukraine has become far and away the top recipient of U.S. foreign aid. Now, this is an important paragraph right here that I wanted to highlight. It's the first time that a European country has held the top spot since the Harry S. Truman administration directed vast sums into rebuilding the continent through the Marshall Plan after World War II. Now, this is what I wanted to highlight. We're effectively giving a Marshall Plan to Ukraine. That's effectively what we're doing. We're effectively supporting this country while they're currently in a war. But then once the war ends, who thinks we're just going to stop and not help Ukraine to rebuild? They're ready to spend the money of a Marshall Plan in a country that is not a NATO member, that we have no treaties to mutual defense. We are supporting might as well be a random country to try to bleed Russia. We're bleeding ourselves is what we're doing. We're bleeding ourselves. We have no obligation to these people. And these people would not support us and do not support us in the things that we as Black Americans are asking for So listen, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel shamed about saying we need to put our own interests. Trump had a hell of a campaign in 2016. Make America great again. At the time, a lot of people were crapping on that logo. A lot of people were crapping on that slogan. When was America great? Well, I can tell you what, it's not great now. It's not great now, and it's not getting any better. Not with the steps that we're taking. So we're effectively spending the equivalent of a Marshall Plan, $116 billion to Ukraine. Where's the Marshall Plan for Black America? All this homelessness that we got in Black America, all these people going bankrupt from healthcare bills. Listen, my kidneys failed last year. I almost died. I was in the hospital. I got charged $10,000, over $10,000 in medical bills. And I was working at the time. I had health insurance at the time. Good health insurance. Just imagine people going bankrupt, losing their homes, losing everything they have because they're going through some temporary illness. God forbid it's life threatening. We don't have any money. We can't afford Medicare for all. We can't afford reparations. We can't afford to invest in getting homes for the homeless people. But we have $116 billion for a non-NATO member, Ukraine. Check. Okay, heard you. Okay. What about this? That was Ukraine, but now we're got to send more money to Israel. It's not over. How much aid does the U.S. give to Israel? I want to make sure y'all can see this. So let me, y'all bear with me. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit so you can see everything. I want to make sure that y'all can see this. Y'all bear with me. All right. I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit. Y'all bear with me. All right, now check this article out. How much aid does the U.S. give to Israel? Now, this is before the $100 billion has been approved for more, $100 billion more going to Israel and Ukraine. Before that has been approved, this article is talking about how much we give to them now. Hopefully, y'all can see this on the screen. Calls for more aid to Israel came quickly in the wake of a terrorist attack by Hamas on the country this weekend. Excuse me. And President Biden has said military assistance is on its way. No hesitation. Oh, you need more money? We got it. You need more military assistance? We got it. What else do you need? Humanitarian assistance? We got it. Anything you need, we got it. As long as you're not an American citizen, we got you. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the Navy's newest and most advanced aircraft carrier, has already been dispatched to the region, and more aid in the form of equipment, resources, munitions, meaning bullets, is expected to arrive in the coming days. Anything you need? Oh yeah, we got it. We're the plug as long as you're not an American citizen. As long as you're not an American citizen, we got your back. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to make sure that this is y'all can see what's going on in this article. So y'all bear with me. I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit. Y'all bear with me. All right. Here we go. Make sure y'all can see this. All right, check it out. The U.S. commitment to aiding Israel has long-standing roots. The U.S. has given Israel more than $260 billion in combined military and economic aid since World War II. What could Black Americans do with that type of support? They say this was since 1947. So what is that? Quick math. 60, 70, 80 years? A little under 80 years? 70 some years. We're looking at 70 some years, give or take. Quick math. I'm not a mathematician, but y'all work with me. It's about 70, give or take. All right, a little under 70 years. $260 billion. Can you imagine that amount of continued support in the form of reparations for Black Americans? Do you understand that that will benefit not only Black Americans, but because we are the only people here in America who have no dual allegiances? It's not like if you give reparations to the Chinaman in America, he can send that money back to China. You give money to the Haitians here in America, he can send that money back to Haiti. Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, you give us reparations, we're spending that money in America. Reparations for Black Americans is a stimulus plan for America. You give Black Americans reparations, we're spending that money at the barbershops. We're spending that money at the China carryout. We're spending money at the grill Caribbean jerk chicken. We're spending that money at the Giant, the Whole Foods. We're spending that money on cars if you're working for GM, if you're working for Ford. We're spending that money on new trucks, oil changes. We're spending that money here on American businesses. Reparations for Black America is a stimulus plan for all of America. Everyone who has a small business, everyone who works here in America could benefit from Black Americans receiving reparations because we're going to take that money and not send it overseas. We're going to be spending it here. But instead of giving what could help benefit us all as a nation, we would rather send that money outside into the ethos, into the ether. We're going to send it outside, send it abroad, and that money is no longer circulating in American markets. That money is gone. That money is gone. And a lot of these people that we're spending money on wait 10, 20, 30 years. Those same people that we're giving money to, they're going to be attacking us. Remember, I said it. Remember, I said it. A lot of people, a lot of the time when we spend money supporting these militia groups, trying to get them to overturn their own governments in Libya, in Syria, we're sending money to the freedom fighters there, trying to get them, encourage them to overturn their own governments. A lot of times those people turn around and end up fighting us down the line. But instead of focusing on America first, got it. Got it. Let's read a little bit more of this article. Plus about 10 billion more in contributions for missile defense systems like the Iron Dome. So we paid 10 billion for their Iron Dome. A U.S. news analysis finds that's the most granted to any country throughout that time frame, and around $100 billion more than Egypt, the second highest recipient historically. For nearly 3 decades, 30 years, from fiscal years 1974 to 2002, Israel was the top recipient of U.S. aid and the longest standing duration for a top aid recipient going back to 1946, according to figures from the foreignassistance.gov. While 2003 to 22 saw the most aid going to either Iraq or Afghanistan, Israel nevertheless remained a top three aid recipient throughout that time. So we're giving money away. We're giving it away. We're giving it away. A lot of times, we Black Americans are the most religious group. We come primarily from Christian backgrounds, and the Christians in America seem to be the biggest supporters of Zionism, of Israel. Black Americans, I don't know why. I don't know why. In America, what makes America so great is the fact that we have something called the separation of church and state. In America, we have separation of church and state. This is granted to us by our Constitution, which is one of the reasons why I am a big supporter of the United States Constitution. I think it was a fantastic document drafted, and if we would stick to it and abide by it, we could be very prosperous. We support the separation of church and state here in America. We support the Constitution here in America. But then in Israel, we send hundreds of billions of dollars for them to intentionally not have a separation of church and state. This is not a democratic country. Israel is not a democracy. It is a theocracy. If they had separation of church and state, a one-state solution would be possible, and peace could return to the region. I'm just going to drop that jewel. You do with it what you will. If there was a separation of church and state in Israel, one man, one vote, you want to go to your mosque, go to your mosque. We're going to go to our synagogues. It's peace. Don't hurt me, I won't hurt you. Very simple. But see, then it wouldn't be a what? Jewish state. Well, if you need to have laws to undermine this group in order to make your country quote unquote Jewish, what makes you think you have some type of moral standing? If you're justifying the oppression of these people based your on your word, the word of God, right? Your interpretation of the word of God, there's no separation of church and state there. There's no democracy there. You're robbing these other people of their right to vote. That's not democracy. That's a theocracy. It is what it is. No way to get out of that circle. Nowhere to square that circle. There's no way to square that circle. I wasn't trying to get on the whole, Palestinian, the whole issues with the Israel ideology. That's not the point of this video. But hey, when I start talking, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. I gotta flow and just give y'all the truth as I see it. I gotta give you the truth as I see it. Let's get back into these articles. I think I've highlighted the information that I wanted to here. Before we get into this, I got a couple more videos. I got 2 more videos I want to play for you. Then we're going to get out of here. I got 2 more videos that I want to play for you. Then we're going to get out of here. Again, if you're coming into the room, do me a favor. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. And if you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button. With that being said, I wanted to point this out, especially to Black Americans. Black Americans, it is very important, foundational Black Americans in particular, but all Black Americans, if you're Black and if you're in America, especially if you have the right to vote, it's important that you stop being ashamed to support foundational Black Americans. Stop being ashamed to support reparations. When I think back about the 60s, when I was growing up, I used to not understand why MLK got so much respect. And mind you, I'm from Atlanta, and I told my Auntie Donna, integration was a mistake. I was young and dumb at that time. I was young and, I might still be dumb. I won't take that away from myself, but I was younger and dumber. And I told my Auntie Donna, I think integration was a mistake. Now, mind you, her and her family members, Auntie Donna's family members, they used to march with MLK down there in Atlanta. And they looked at me, and I could tell that they were kind of surprised to hear me say that. At the time I was much younger. It's like, wow, this is the way the younger generation is thinking. And I didn't understand for the life of me why Martin Luther King got so much respect. But as I grew up and I started to recognize, especially as the rise of foundational Black American as a term and as an ideology began to take root, and I started to think about this push for reparations, I started to see people protesting. For example, this was a few years ago, maybe five to 7 years ago. There was some protests because the Asians had beat up some sisters in the nail and hair salons. Asians were beating up the Black women in the nail salons, and people were starting to protest. Hey, we need to boycott the nail salons, boycott these hair stores, all these weaves, boycott all that. There were Black men calling for protests out there. Meanwhile, and I should have played this video for you. I got some other videos. I didn't play this, maybe another day. Meanwhile, while the Black men were protesting these Asian businesses, there were lines wrapped around the store of Black women, mostly foreigners, supporting the stores. The stores decided, yeah, we beat up this Black woman, so we're going to have a 25% off sale. Everything in the store, 25% off. And the lines wrapped around the store to get this little discount. And it occurred to me when I was seeing this, you know what made Martin Luther King so great? It wasn't that, he wanted to get around white folks and, he wanted to, he wanted to fight back peacefully. He's willing to take a beating. He's willing to get beat down and jailed and get dogs sick on him for his ideology. That takes strength. But that's not what made me respect him. What made me respect him was he could call for a boycott. He could call for people to literally walk miles to and from work in the rain, in the snow if they have it, in all types of wind, cold weather, warm weather, heat. Walk to work. Carpool to work. Y'all don't just take step on that bus. We're boycotting these buses. We're boycotting these businesses. And you black folks don't do nothing to support them. And you know what? The black people listen. That's what really made MLK so great. The fact that he could call for a boycott and the black people responded and listened and obeyed. Not necessarily obey it in as terms of, oh, I'm just doing what he's telling me to do, but obey it as far as I'm a soldier in the army and our leader is giving us directions. Our leader is giving us orders and we're going to listen to his orders in order to accomplish the mission. MLK was a great general and a great leader, not because of the strength of him, but off the strength of his followers, off the strength of the people who listened to him, the people who sacrificed riding buses, sacrificed taking taxis, sacrificed. People were willing to sacrifice their time, their money. A lot of times people got fired for being late to work. They were willing to sacrifice their jobs, their careers. People sacrificed a lot to accomplish the mission. Nowadays, we don't have anyone who can tell black Americans, hey, y'all need to vocally support reparations. Hey, y'all need to boycott Christmas. Hey, y'all need to boycott Thanksgiving. Hey, y'all need to boycott. We don't have anyone who can tell us to boycott anything. We're not listening. We can't even boycott the Asian stores. We're not listening. Right? That's what made MLK so great. The fact that he could tell us what to do and people supported him, supported his vision, supported the mission. That's what made MLK so great. So in this vein of let's listen, let's get on code, let's all have the same vision for the future, and let's work together to accomplish the same goal. Step number one is we have to stop being so ashamed to say what the vision is. That's step number one. We need more. If you're a black person, a black celebrity, any black person, a black politician, any black person, and you're vocally speaking against reparations, you need to be checked. You need to be checked, and there needs to be some consequences. As far as I'm concerned, there needs to be some consequences. Financial, economic, and it can go any number of ways is what I'm saying, but there needs to be some consequences for people out here speaking against reparations, because what you're doing, you're speaking against black people. As far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, if you say something negative about reparations, you're saying negative. You're saying your people don't deserve nothing. You're saying my people don't deserve nothing. My parents, my grandparents, you're saying they all worked, they sacrificed for nothing. That's what you're saying, and we're gonna have a problem if I hear you saying that. All right. With that being said, I want to show the reason I brought this up is because a lot of times we as black people are ashamed to speak out in what is in our best interest. And I want to highlight and congratulate people when they're willing to say, this is what we need. Now here is Cat Williams. Here's Cat Williams. He recently spoke out on reparations. All right, and I wanted y'all to see this because you can listen to the crowd. He's a comedian. Cat Williams is a very well-known comedian. He recently spoke out about reparations, and this guy is hilarious. But here, people weren't laughing. It took him a lot of guts. It took him a lot of guts, a lot of courage, and a lot of heart to go out on this limb and speak on reparations. Check out what he had to say. Check out what he had to say. Hold on, let me cut this music so y'all can hear what he has to say. All right, y'all check this out.
Away from 2024, we could do some shit that's never been done in history, and it will be easy. We could get rid of racism once and for all as a country, just because we bigger than that, and we don't need to be dealing with that shit in 2024. We could do it now. White people, we gonna need y'all. Look at white people. What? Yeah, so I don't talk about political shit because sometimes my viewpoints change as I get more information. This is one of those situations. I didn't used to believe in this, but now I do. White people, I want you to hear from me in front of black people. And I in no way speak for all black people, but I do speak for all niggas. And you not supposed to know the difference. So, okay, so here it is. White people, it's now time for black people to get paid reparations for everything that black people have been through in this country. Let's pay those reparations. Look at white people. What? Okay, white people, I know you're wondering, why now? Why, Cap? Why now? Why? Why? Well, here's the thing, white people, and I'm being honest with you. As black people, we've never said this in history, but it's time for us to get reparations. Black people, it's our money, and when do we need it? You see that, white people? We didn't even rehearse that. That's how badly black people need this money. Like every.
All right, now listen. He kind of had to stumble through that. You can tell it's a skit that he's working on. It's a skit that he's working on, right? So it's not ironed out. But the fact of the matter is, he went out, and despite the fact that he knew people were going to be feeling him when he went out on a limb and spoke on reparations, but it takes courage to do that. He went out there and said, "Hey, I used to think we didn't need it. I used to think I had my mind set on something else, but recently I've updated my thinking. I've expanded my mind, and I say yes, we do need reparations. And I'm saying this to a white audience." He's going out in front of white folks, not just black folks. Black people know, most black people, especially black Americans, know, yeah, that's something we need. But, we're never going to get it, so let's just give up on it. No, we're never going to get it with that attitude. We need more people to speak with their chest, speak with their heart, and say, yes, you know what? We do need this, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not ashamed to say it. We need more people, so salute and shout out to Cat Williams for speaking on reparations. We need more people like that, more celebrities, more comedians. I'm so disappointed and I'm so embarrassed by the Nation of Islam. If we got any Nation of Islam folks out here, get in the comment section and explain to me why we don't hear Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking on reparations. Farrakhan, for the longest, the whole platform of the Nation of Islam has been, we need a separate state, we need to do for self. Well, explain to me how we're going to get our own land, get our own separate state without reparations. It seems pretty obvious to me that if you, as the Nation of Islam, are supporting reparations, you could put land as one of the tangibles that you're calling for. Finances so that we can start and manage our own businesses as one of the reparations that you're calling for. It seems obvious to me that reparations should be number one issue for the Nation of Islam. And I'm so embarrassed. I've started to reach out to some folks about this. And I'm telling you, I'm going to have to do a whole video on this. And I'm glad I said it. It might be a video for tomorrow. I'm so doggone disappointed and embarrassed by the Nation of Islam. I went to the rally for reparations hosted by Tariq Nasheed. Shout out and salute Tariq Nasheed. He had a rally for reparations here in DC. I want to say that was 2021, 2022. I want to say it was 2021, 2022. I went there. One of the people who was supposed to speak there was Rizza Islam. Rizza Islam was one of the only people who didn't show. One of the only speakers who didn't show. And I was so doggone disappointed. He was one of the reasons I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there to see three people primarily. I wanted to see Tariq Nasheed, Rizza Islam, and I wanted to see Boyce Watkins. Boyce was there. I wasn't impressed. Tariq was there. Salute the OG. Salute Tariq Nasheed. I can't really say too much negative about Tariq. He's one of the reasons I'm on here trying to be a supporting voice of the movement that he's starting. So salute to Tariq Nasheed. Boyce, I got some disappointments. I got some things I'm not really too happy about him. But I'm sure people got problems with me. It's all good. But I got some disagreements with Boyce right now. But Rizza, I was looking forward to hearing what Rizza had to say. Rizza Islam, coming from the Nation of Islam, the fruit of Islam, a soldier in the nation. I wanted to see what he had to say, and he was a no-show. I think that, now this is speculation, this is just my opinion, this is just what I'm thinking. I'm getting the feeling that from the top, Farrakhan might have put out a don't speak on this order. Just like Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told MLK, not MLK, but told Malcolm X, hey Malcolm, I don't want you speaking on those deaths that happened. Elijah Muhammad told Malcolm X not to speak on something. Malcolm X decided to speak on it after asked by reporters, and Elijah Muhammad sat Malcolm X down. I'm thinking it's something similar here. I'm thinking there's been an order to the Nation of Islam not to speak on reparations. Because I've been looking for clips, I've been looking for videos, I've been looking for anything recent in the past 10, 15 years from the Nation of Islam as far as where they stand on reparations, and I'm not seeing too many videos. I'm disappointed, and I got questions. All right, who am I? I'm just another soldier in the army, but I got questions. One thing about it, I want to salute the people who do have the heart to speak out, especially in support of reparations, because I know it takes heart. I know you're going to be looked at the ugly duckling. You're going to get the backlash. You're going to get laughed at. You're going to, oh, it's never going to happen. You're wasting your time. Okay. Well, at least you got the heart to speak on it. And I want to end with this video. This is MLK himself speaking on reparations. And like I said, one thing about MLK was when he was alive, if he spoke out in support of something, the people tended to follow his lead. And I want to remind everyone what MLK thought about reparations back in 1968. Check this out.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are coming to get our check. We are coming to get our check. Listen, man, that revolutionary spirit has not gone anywhere. The youth still have it, myself included. We still got it. We still got the fight. We still recognize that there's things that we need, that we are in a specific situation that we have to look out for our own lineage, because other people aren't looking out for us. And while everyone wants us to be the mules to go support everyone else's cause, all too often we can't get everyone on code to support our own cause. This is just this whole video, and I'm wrapping it up now, but this whole video I've been trying to show people have been shaming us into supporting other people's movements. It used to be Black Lives Matter, then next thing you know, it gets drafted into Trans Lives Matter. We got to start pushing trans issues and Black Moms Matter instead of just Black Lives Matter. And listen, I'm not supportive of the organization. I'm not supportive of the BLM group. I know that they're stealing money. I'm not supporting the group, but it's the movement. Our movements get hijacked and stolen all too often. They start calling for, hey, we need to defund the police. I don't think Black Americans really want the police to be defunded. That's some other left-wing agenda exploiting us, our movement, and just attach that new BS onto us. No. Black Americans, we're calling for reparations. We're calling to get the money so that we can begin to police ourselves. We can repair our own communities. We need to support things that help us and stop being so distracted with, oh, well, it was Black Lives Matter, but now it's Trans Lives Matter. Oh, it was reparations now, but now instead of focusing on reparations, we need to focus on Ukraine. We need to focus on Palestine. No. Listen, you want to call for peace? I'm all for you. I'm calling for peace. I'm saying we need to push diplomacy and stop sending billions of dollars to these other countries when we need help here. We've got homeless people here. We've got people going bankrupt and losing their homes, losing their jobs because of medical bills here. We need Medicare for all here. We've got people dropping out of school, dropping out of law school, dropping out of doctoral programs because they can't afford their student loans here. If you have the heart to go and become a professional, a doctor, a lawyer, you have the minds where you can pass all of your classes, but you can't afford it, that shouldn't be an issue. If you have the mind, that means you have the potential. You have the grades, you should be able to graduate. You should be able to graduate without having suffocating debt, which will follow you until the day that you die, and even bankruptcy can't get rid of it. No, we got enough issues here. We've got a southern border where they've already reported hundreds of suspected terrorists or possible sleeper cells entering the United States. Just preparing, I get the phone call. Hey, he said go. Iran said go. All right, it's a go. China said go. All right, it's a go. Next thing you know, you got power plants getting attacked from sleeper cells who are already here in America. We've got enough issues here to be sending out hundreds of billions to these other countries who would not support us if we had any issues here in America. That's my word. I appreciate everyone who supports the channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Continue to support the channel. If you're new here, be sure to smash the subscribe button. I really do appreciate everyone who checks out the video. Y'all do give me motivated. Y'all keep me motivated. Y'all give me the motivation to keep this thing going. You know, it's just little old me giving me my 2 cents. And I appreciate everyone who cares enough to check it out, tune in, hit the thumbs up button, leave your comments. I try to respond to all my comments, so if you got any questions, be sure to hop down there in the comments and I'll be sure to respond to you. I really appreciate all the support. All right, guys. That's it. Peace.